Hey, Chanel here, Queen of Skirts. I have a dilemma. I'm going back to this one fabric store I went to, did a video about it, Fine Fabrics in Atlanta. Bought a bunch of fabric, and I haven't used most of it. So, this is it, silk georgettes, beautiful. Challenge is, I gotta use this before I go back. I'm gonna show you what I'm making. Coming up. Yeah, you've probably done that before too. Went to the fabric store, thought, oh, I want this, I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna make that, and then you put it away, forget about it, or it sit there and bugs you. I gotta make something with this. So I did that, went to Fine Fabrics last year in Atlanta, and they had a big sale, so I bought a lot. I had 30% off like this whole store, like a huge warehouse. I have a video on it, on fabric stores in Atlanta. I'll put it at the end of this video, and you can find it quickly. I can't remember what I call it. It's one of my sew on the road videos. So I think I made some of the stuff, but I still have fabrics. But these are the ones, this is the one that I really loved. I was like, oh my gosh. And they have rows of silk, bolts of silk fabric that are $9.99 a yard. So you can't go wrong, but you gotta use the fabric that you buy, you know what I mean? So this is a silk georgette, just a beautiful print. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. And then I always buy my classic black and white. These are georgettes. And I was like, I gotta make something out of these. So I didn't know, but it's come to me what I wanna do with it. So finally, sometimes it just, it takes a while. So I have this skirt I call the Rosie. I'll show you this one first. Right here, did a video on this also. And this is a square circle skirt, like this. So it's basically a circle skirt, goes into the end of the yoke, and then it has this beautiful cascading drapes. But it has peaks at the end right here. So it goes peak, straight on four sides, because the square has 4 sides. This is another version I did on this embroidered fabric. I love this one. I have this out on the video also. I don't remember what I called it, but the yoke I cut it up and put seams in it and then top stitch it so it looks kind of like a corset yoke, like that. It doesn't feel like one though either, because it feels really good. But so I was thinking I'm gonna do that. So what I'm going to do is do a 2-layer circle or square circle skirt. It's just a square circle skirt. I'm going to put the first layer in this, and then I'm going to do the second layer in this, and I'm going to do it 2 inches shorter. And I was thinking about kind of shifting it so that the peaks lay differently, but I think I'm going to have it lay on top of each other the same way. But I also can just pin it or baste it and see how it looks the other way, because I don't really want a handkerchief look. But I'm going to look at it and see what I like best. And then I'm going to do the yoke in the solid black. So I have to get a nice little comfy, I'll get a real comfy lining, because I like my skirts to be comfortable. Because if clothes are not comfortable, I ain't putting them on. So I might put them on, but I take them off really quickly. So I also, this is a good way, I've been drafting the pattern for my ThreadBosses, my membership site. And this is the pattern here. It's like a square. And I don't know if I made a video on the making of these other skirts, and the pattern came from a kid's skirt that I found in the kids department at the Goodwill store, and it was just like a square. And I was looking at it going, this is a square. This is interesting. So I took it apart, and then I just made one for me. So, so I'm gonna cut this all out. I cut another layer, like this is going to be the black part here, this will be the white part, and I'm going to cut this out and make it. The hardest part on this whole skirt is the hem, especially with georgette. It's not fun to do, like, but I have a little technique. I'll show you how I'm going to do the hem. I'm going to use pinking shears to cut this out, because although the paper might dull my pinking shears, because the fabric frays a lot. And actually, what I should do is tear it, because this is just a square. If I tear it, yeah, I think I will. Gotta work on this anyway. So I'm gonna get to cutting it out. So the best thing about using these cutting boards, the cardboard ones, is you can anchor your fabric into the board. You just do a little side, just kind of put these on the side a little bit like that and anchor it into the board, and then it just stays. So I've got this, it tore beautifully here, pink at the edges here, and that's all it is that little square. So instead of laying this pattern down, I just have this right where I need it, and then I centered this and then put a chalk mark where I need to cut this here, and then I make sure this doesn't slip, because when I go to cut these it slips like crazy. I also put a lot of pins here. I should be using silk pins, but I gotta go find them. Haven't been working with silks lately. So now I'm just gonna pink this circle out here, and then I'll have my top layer of my skirt, and then I'll do the white one just like I did this one, and that'll be the hardest part. The yoke is much easier to cut out. Phew. Okay, look at that. There's my little circle. What can I do with that? Cute. I can make a little pillow. When I get the white one, I'll do a front and a back with the white. Have a little circle. Cute. All right, so that is that. Now I need to, I gotta also put little notches on the sides, little tiny V's. And then I got my notch on the pattern here. I think that's right in the center, so I think I'm going to fold this, because sometimes it's just not accurate. So take all my pins out and start on the white one. So I'm going to pick this up and match this all up here. And get my other notch. I need the center back, center front notches right there. I'll put this little tiny V right there. Then I always like to know where my centers are and my side seams, because there are no side seams or anything in this whole skirt. It's so great. So really all I've got to do is I can probably even just start hemming this. I'm going to just hem it. Actually, I guess I should make it first, because I don't know how much I'm going to hem it, right? Okay, there's that one right there. I hear a pin. There we go. Okay, on to the white one. All right, I have the white one set up. I'm just going to use one of my air erasable pens and just make dots. If I even drag it, it tends to stretch, so it's dissolving fast. Better work fast. Wow, it's close. Here's the notch. I can get that notch while I'm there. I won't even draw this notch. A little easier when I still have to cut the selvage off here. It's just a hair off of there. Okay, oops. What I should do is pin this so it doesn't move all around. I have this little piece of fabric left over from another project I did with it, and all I gotta do is cut 2 of these on the fold, and then the skirt's ready to put together. All right, I have my pieces all cut out. I do have to find a lining for the yoke. I have some satins around here. Gotta find something real comfy. Anyway, I'm gonna resume this tomorrow. Back another day to sew. I have my skirt pinned all at the waist, or the hip actually. It looks really big. So I have it very carefully pinned here, and this is how it looks right there. So I'm going to baste it. I think I like it layered like that. I'm not going to switch it there because that was the plan, to have those white peaks like that. So I'm going to baste all of that, and then I have my yoke piece pinned. I should be using silk pins. I should go find them, but these are working for now anyway. And then I found the lining. I have some silk charmeuse that I bought a bolt years ago, literally at the Fidham Scholarship store in Los Angeles. That's where I went to school, and they have this really great scholarship store. So if you're ever out in downtown LA, make sure you stop by there. Everything they sell goes to the kids for their scholarships, and the fabric's donated from local garment makers there. So I had silk charmeuse. I think I bought it for $5 a yard. It's usually, back then when I bought it, it was probably 20 a yard. It's probably 25 or 30 a yard now. But I found this bolt. I was like, I know I had some here, and I just. Oh, this is going to feel good. This is the part that's going to be on my skin. I'm actually going to sew it wrong sides together so that the seam is on my body, and then the line, because this is a georgette and it's pretty thin, the seams won't bump together when they're flatted together. So that's how I'm going to tackle that. So right now it's just 4 seams. I just got to sew it. I'm doing 5/8 on all these seams here, and then basting this down. I have the skirt basted on, so now it's much easier to work with. Those pins are flying everywhere. And I have my yoke all set. I stitched the side seams, and then this is how I think I'm right, I'm not sure. But I put this is the charmeuse part with the lining. That's the part will go on my skin. It's nice and soft. Then I have the seam that will be on my skin too, and I just have it pinked. Probably not going to overlock it or anything because I'm going to dry clean this. Then I have the wrong side to the wrong side also. Just have the seam switched in, and then baste it here, because then what happens is you can flat these together, which is you put 2 and 2 together, but sometimes if you're a little off, you get like puckers. So I just thought I'd float it over that way. So that way the seam allowances aren't kind of combining together and making bumps. No bumps. You don't want bumps. So this is the yoke piece, and then I basted that together because all I'm going to do is do a rollover elastic on here because I'm square, so it's easier. If you have a pretty small, much smaller waist, you'd have to put darts and things in here. But now I just have to attach the skirt. But first I have to make the bias binding to go in between the layers. So I'm going to do that next. Starting the bias, I only have a little piece left here from where I cut the skirt out. So I'm going to do is make sure I have enough, like a full line without a bias seam in there for the front and one for the back. So a half of the front is 12 inches, so I'm going to at least do 2 24 inches bias things. And I'm just going to do a 2-inch. I'm usually kind of cutting 2 inches, just easier too, because you get the ruler down. And this fabric just slides around so much, it's hard to control. So I got my big shears out too, because they'll take longer bites. I hate cutting this stuff up, but so now I got my 45-degree angle and then my air erasable pen here, and I'll get it started. First, of course, I have my grain lines on my cross grain and my length grain here, all accurately put on the cutting board, pinned as best I can, because this fabric, if it moves around too much, it just makes some wobbly bias pieces. Ooh, got that cut right there. So then I cut big smooth bites. I call them bites. Boy, my pen is dissolving. You probably can't even see them. I'll cut these up here, and then I'm going to connect. I'll chop this selvage off and then connect them at the angles there. I can see when you move this, it stretches. All right, I'm gonna finish cutting this. Yeah, look how wobbly these look. Oof, this is delicate. I'm thinking the 2 inches isn't even enough, but on the bias, I can always baste it. You don't have to go right off the seam. I can just make it fit where I want it to. So I'll stitch these, get a continuous flow here, and then take it to the iron and then press it down into, because I want it on the double for sure. Press it like that, and then baste it onto the skirt. Sewn together, and there is my bias. So now I have to baste it onto the skirt, and the 2 inches looks a little smaller than I was thinking. I guess I should have did it a little wider, but I'm not going to do the 5/8 here because then it will just, or basting, because then it will just have a little tiny bias. So I'm actually going to drop it down. If I baste it on here, have some of that black poking out there, it'll make it longer. And then bonus too, it'll also kind of grade the seams too, which will make, you know, little thinner versions here. So I think I'll baste it to figure out how much I want it to poke out. I want at least a 1/2 inch to be poking out. So I'm going to baste that on there and set that all up. Okay, this is my plan of attack. I did like a little chalk mark with the tailor's chalk, the ones that iron off, 1.25 inches down from the raw edge right there. Then I went around with the bias and pinned that fold right on there, and I let the bias kind of relax so I didn't pull it, because I don't want any skinny fat parts. Kind of like I want it to be even as much as I can. This fabric is so wobbly. I also got my silk pins out. These are the magic pins. They're just longer silk pins like here. So I'm going to go around and baste this close to the edge, because then when I go to sew it, I'm going to be sewing it at 5/8, which is just about 1/4 inch in here. And that's, I guess, a bonus because it'll be graded there. And then I have to figure out how to end these parts here. I think I'm just going to like fold over one edge and then tuck the other part under. I have the hardest time getting these mitered sides when they're stitched on, so I just sometimes just fold it in. Here's that other side here. I first to pin this, this ended up right in my center front or center back, and I was like, oh, I hate that when that seam is there, so I put it like kind of to the side front a little bit, and then that side really wants to go skinny, so I'm probably gonna start there so I don't have any stretch. So now I'm just gonna go baste this down, and then I can attach the yoke. All stitched on, and I sewed over the pins. Don't tell my students. Sometimes pulling the pins out messes you up, especially when they're on the bias, so that's why I had to do that. All right, so I still have some little curls. This is a mess. But once they get folded under here, this should be okay, I hope. Anyway, I'm gonna go around it and press it too to make sure it all looks good. Ta-da! That is gonna look good. Not too many curls, although it's hard to say until that yoke gets in there and this actually lays the right way, but it's looking good. Ta-da! Now, I got a late start today. I'm gonna have to finish this tomorrow. Just gotta add the yoke. Oh, and then I gotta hem it. That's where it's gonna take forever. Although it's just straight hems too, so it actually goes pretty fast. But wow, it's looking really good. That's gonna be really pretty. I like it. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. All right, back another day to finish my skirt. I hope to get it finished today. It's pretty simple. Here goes a pin. I have a bunch of pins in here. I pinned the yoke part to the skirt, so I have the double lining. So like that, and then if I sew it successfully, it should peek out just enough. I don't know. I'm hoping it just has like a 1/2 inch peek out. So I think a 5/8 seam, sew that around, and then onto the hem. Okay, got this all stitched it went on there perfectly. It started to have a little bit of a pucker and a little bit big one. This one's got a little tuck in it. So hard to get these exact. Oh my gosh. But I think I got it all. Didn't get it caught. You know how the underlayers get caught. Wow. Okay, let's see how this looks. Ta-da! Oh, wow. I think it looks pretty even. Never gonna know until I press it. So, but it looks really good so far. I love the white band in there. Wow. That really kind of helps the hearts stand out more, and then everything blend together instead of just like a seam and then a print. So it's like you blend it. It looks really cool. So now I need to go and press the seam up, and very delicately, because this is a silk georgette and silk, so I can't leave the iron on it too long. All right, I'm gonna go press this, and then also have my charmeuse lining in here. This is gonna be so comfortable. Oh my gosh, can't wait to wear it. Oh, it's looking so pretty. Ooh. All right, I'll press this, and then I have to add the elastic to the top part. And then I have to get some new black tops, because everything I wear is black tops, and then do the skirts on the bottom. That's my uniform. I'm branding myself. Anyway, no, it's just comfortable. I like it that way. Anyway, okay, onto the ironing boards. Voila! Skirt's turning out great. The piping is, I'm going to say about 93.5% perfect. Has a little bit of puckers in it, little shorter sides. This fabric is just moves so much. I don't know why I put myself through this, but but it turned out pretty good. I looked at it like the front, like, okay, what's the best one? So like that's where you put the front, right? So I came up with this side, because then I look at the back. This had a little shorter edge in here, and I went in and fixed it, but I still have little tiny holes in the fabric. That'll just kind of got to get the fibers back in place, but pretty good. It's turning out really great. Now all I have to do, actually one thing I did too while I was pressing it is I got the facing all placed. So I press up the seam right here, and then attach it with little silk pins all the way around there, and now I have to go in and hand sew that part. Looks daunting, but it's actually pretty simple. You just do a little quick whip stitch around it, because don't want to top stitch this. The top stitching on there would look terrible, and if you don't get it exact, it's just doesn't look good. So just take a few minutes, hand stitch it closed, right? If I were doing this for a client and she was paying big bucks in the couture world, you would definitely hand stitch it. So if you ever taken couture clothes apart, they're all hand stitched together, like Chanel suits, you know, $5,000 a jacket. A lot of hand sewing in there. You can't get those things apart. I used to had a client years ago. She bought all Chanel's, and she called me in to do the alterations. That's when I had my little tailor shop, and yeah, couldn't take them apart. Armani clothes, yeah, just clip, bloop, they come apart. So his was all about fabric, and Chanel is also all about fabric, but really like amazingly made. So next part is the elastic, and I love to use this fold over elastic, and it's this 1 inch fold over. I'm down to my last waist. I have to go get some more. I have some in white. I have a lot in white because I bought some one time and I hid it from my intern here because she used my elastic on just like something trivial. And I'm like, I have to put Chanel only, and hid it. And then I couldn't find it for about a year. I found it after I bought more. So now I got a bunch of white, but I don't use the white that often. Anyway, where were we? So so I'm just gonna fold this over. I've got the center back sewn here. Find the half, and then I find the quarters, and then I find the half and quarters on the skirt, and then you just grip it over the edge, pull it a little bit, and then I zigzag right there, and that's it. And this way you just have a smooth skirt at the waist. You don't have a lot of bumps like from zippers and belt loops and waistband and top stitching and all that. It's just, you know, this right here, it's kind of soft, and just your top goes over and doesn't get all bunchy. So I love using this, and all my tops go a little bit over. I never tuck in shirts, so used to, but not anymore. Anyway, so I'm gonna go and finish this part, and then I'm on to the hem. Voila! Skirt elastic is on. So now when I wear it like this, it'll just kind of be smooth right there. So simple to do. You just roll it over, and I put the zigzag stitch right there, and you just pull it and zigzag it. I have a video on my Sew Bits Future Fashion Designers channel. That's here. And it's on the elastic part. I'll put a link video at the end of this video, so in case you ever need to do it, I have it there for you. And actually save it in your sewing files there, and you'll always have it. And it's so simple to do, but I take you to the machine and then show you actually how to do it. So next up is the hem. Now, I couldn't wait to do this, so when I was waiting between classes, I actually hemmed the edges of this. So I just have a simple, it was actually pretty simple, and this was the corners right here. I just rolled it up. I also have a video on how to hem a skirt. So I usually press up one side, actually where the mark where you want it, and then you fold it under, like I call it 50-50, fold it under evenly and then press it, and then you take it to the machine and top stitch it. This hem, I also got, I did the two white edges, and then I still have two more left to do here. So what I've done, instead of, usually I go fold it over, then tuck it under and press it, but this one is so small, I press that part there, and then I press it there. So why I do it the other way is actually you're sure to have it even. This is just square, straight points like that. So actually eyeballing it and getting this part is a little bit easier. And with this hem, it ends up going even because the fabric was also torn on the grain, so it goes even. But you actually don't want to hem this way on regular skirts, because then you never really have the accurate part. I'm going on and on about this. Anyway, so now I'm just going to take this back to the ironing board and then fold it again, and then I stitch it, the top stitch it, and it looks like that right there. And I have all of these edges done so that they came out really good. This skirt is easy to hem. It looks daunting, but it's just square edges, so it comes out really good. It was really fun it's fun to get it all right? So now that will be done. I'll just hem that, and I have to hand sew that part in there first, and I need to try it on. Gotta find some shoes to go with this. Anyway, okay, skirt is done. I could actually wear it tonight if I wanted to. Ta-da! And it feels so good on. This fabric just feels good. It's light, it's airy. Got silk charmeuse on the inside of that. It feels so good, and it's actually quite thinning too. I really, I don't know. I look a little, my tummy doesn't stick out so much on that one, but love my white band here. This actually feels better. It's better when it kind of is a little more fitted, but light and airy. The peaks this white peak, which I was a little surprised, seems to go down a lot longer than I thought, because I guess when you take 2 inches and 2 inches and they come down and there's 4 inches, kind of however that physics stuff has to work. Wow, it just turned out really pretty. It was pretty easy to hem. I think this has got to be one of my favorite patterns. This is the third skirt I've used with that square circle skirt pattern, and I'm probably going to do a few more. I really like it. And I maybe think of some other way to tweak it. So using the basics of that and then finding another way. So if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you learned anything, I hope so. I'm not sure I didn't teach too much stuff there, but take a look at the videos in the back. I'll do the elastic one and then how to hem a skirt one. And then take a look at all my other skirt videos on my Queen of Skirts playlist. For more skirt ideas, I'm the Queen of Skirts. Love making skirts. They're so easy and creative to do. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.